Hey, what is up, guys? This is John Nelson. You are listening to the Starting Block Podcast. If you're looking for a show that's going to give you insight into complete athletic development and give you the tools to win as the athlete, the parent, the coach, then you have come to the right show. Sorry, I apparently cannot get my audio button to work. So, yeah, that's so a little longer intro than normal. That's Chris. Chris, how you doing, man?
What's up?
Yeah. So we'll try to right or wrong here and see if we can get this thing on the right track now. If you are new to the show, welcome first off. Thank you for joining. We have a couple different episodes. We're a little different than your standard podcast. So here's our breakdown for you. The first type of episode that we have is usually a Q&A, and this is where we will take questions from our listeners. You guys can email those into us at info@elitelevelperformance.com. We do those on our Instagram page every once in a while as well. The Ask Me a Question button. You can submit them on social media, and whether it's elitelevelperformance.com or Chris, where can they submit them to you?
They go straight to my Instagram page, Fast and Agile 49, and just sent me a DM.
Cool. Get them there. So that's episode 1. The second type of episode is going to be our guest interview. This is where Chris and I, Mandy, will bring on our colleagues from across the country and across the world, and they'll share their stories on how they win and implement their systems with their athletes and clients. Some may be in the athlete sector, some may be more in the rehab sector, the medical sector, and they'll share their stories. And then the final episode is a Friday Fire, Friday Facts. So it's going to be about 8 to 10 to 15 minutes of me sharing some thoughts on some different things that may be a topic related to training or rehab or nutrition, maybe something a little more political. Who knows? Just kind of feel like needs to be talked about that day. But today is Q&A, so we're going to jump right into it. This is going to be a little bit shorter episode today, but I posted last night actually on the Elite Level Performance Instagram page asking for some questions that you guys wanted us to talk about. So I've got 2 of them. Actually, we got 3 total questions, Chris. 2 of them were submitted from Instagram. The other was actually submitted from a little topic box that we have here at the front desk. And the first one we'll talk about is this person asked, John and Chris, what are the pros and cons of testosterone boosters? So,
all right. Well, first of all, it depends on how you're going to define a testosterone booster. So are you referring to some of there's some herbs out there, whatever. Now I'm referring to what is called a testosterone booster and not testosterone itself, like true testosterone replacement, which is purely a medical intervention. Okay.
Right.
There are various herbs and things, every single one of which gets very mixed results. I mean, some of the names for some reason are just totally, I can't even remember, but they get very, very, very mixed results. I don't care what supplement it is. It's Yoimbi, some of these others. I would imagine it would have a lot to do with the purity of whatever supplement or herb or whatever it is you're taking. Although, honestly, I have no idea if things like that work or not. Now, you and I, and by the way, this is not a sponsor, so we're not going to claim that they are. But one thing that I have used in the past that I have found works quite well. Certainly in the way I feel, and if I take it over a period of a week, if I take beef organ, I don't mean like liver cleanse. I'm talking about like the beef organ.
You mean like Liver King?
Along that line, yes. Eating actual beef liver, or in this case, the desiccated, dried, put into a capsule liver, heart, pancreas, all these different the beef organs. Heart and Soil. Hey, if you're listening, just hey, we're giving you a plug here. The heart.
Say that one again, Chris. Okay. You cut out.
Heart and Soil. Yeah, they. That's the supplement. That's the one I've been using. Shout out to them. But
yeah, you got me started on that stuff a couple weeks ago, and I really like it too.
I mean, it's like I said, it's not something you take once and you're going to notice, but something you take over a period of a week. You're like, I felt pretty good, And
I've definitely noticed a little bit of a change.
So they have different, they pretty much every kind of beef organ you could imagine, and I like it. I think I probably ought to do some actual blood work pre and post. Maybe take a month off, and then get a right before I start taking it again, get a pre-test, and then about a month
Yeah.
in, get another, and just see where the numbers are. After just taking a month's worth of beef, just the beef organ supplements.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like it too, and I want to kind of backtrack a little bit into why test boosters and what the purpose is and all that stuff. And so, for any younger listener there, I mean, testosterone is obviously going to be the dominant male hormone, right? And our society, Chris, I don't have the numbers. We were talking about this the other day, but right now, I think our society is at the absolute lowest level of testosterone in history. We've reached the lowest point we've ever seen, and I think there's a lot of underlying causes for that. And it seems like every commercial, every ball game you watch, there's a commercial for a test booster or something. And so ultimately, we got to ask the question first off: why is that? Why is our testosterone so low? One, but then if you're not doing a medical intervention, so if you're not doing testosterone replacement therapy, then what are some other natural, like holistic things that you could utilize to assist in that, and how to go about that? And so, we'll say we're not doctors, we're not talking about medication. You need to follow through with what your doctor's telling you as far as, TRT or test replacement therapy goes. Test replacement therapy, is literally going to be, synthetic testosterone or artificial testosterone at whatever therapeutic doses that your doctor feels is relevant for you. Test boosters are going to be more like the supplements type things that you're going to see, like what is that one I see the commercial for all the time? Mandy's not on the show not right now, but she's over at her desk. The Test X Factor, and like if you text whatever it is, like big balls or baseball bat or something to this number, we'll give you a free ball, right? So like these are test boosters, right? You see things like that in our industry a whole lot. Every company has them. So I want to go back to point number one, though, Chris. And point number one is, why do we need the test booster? What's the point? Well, the point is to elevate our testosterone levels. But if our estrogen levels are so high, we're already at a disadvantage. And so getting your estrogen under control, if that truly is a problem, you got to get your estrogen under control. Men aren't supposed to have, excessive amounts of estrogen. And that, I guess, that's everything from eliminating plastic water bottles, so like the BPA, that seeps into the water after it gets over room temperature. That causes estrogen increases. There's microplastics in literally everything. Chris, what else?
Even like soy protein, like
soy, yes,
yeah,
soy, yeah, milk, which actually is going to be our next question. We'll get into, milk. There's another guy I follow on Instagram. I can't remember his tagline. It's like carnivore or something or other. But he brought up an interesting one about the actual chemicals that are made, or chemicals that are used to make receipts. It's like when you go to a store and buy something, the receipt.
Yeah, I've heard
paper.
of that before too.
I didn't know that one. I didn't know that. That's wild. But guys, all of these are these regular like shampoos, conditioners, lotions, things like that. It's like I'll tell women that come in to see us, get as much organic stuff as possible. So organic makeup, organic shampoos, conditioners, because your body absorbs all these chemicals, and these chemicals can cause reactions. And in men, a lot of times they increase our estrogen level. And so that's number one, right? Get the estrogen under control. There's other things you can do. Talk to your doctor if you feel like you got that, and get some blood work around if they feel it's necessary, and go from there. But then the test boosters. So I'm not a huge fan, Chris, I don't know about you, about like actually going out and buying a specific supplement that is called a test booster. I used to do that when I was younger, when I was, 19, 20, 21, 22. I tried all that stuff, all the Muscle Tech and Cellucor and, all the stuff that was on the market before they took it off.
Right.
Sure. But I'm more this day and age trying to find things that assist in boosting testosterone, but that aren't specific like test boosters, so to speak, if that makes sense. One of the one, when we talked about the heart and soil stuff, I really like that, man. That's really good stuff. Some other things that I've been taking that I like. I like D-aspartic acid. I've used that on and off. for a while. I mean, these are all over-the-counter things. These are all legal, not illegal. They are legal, okay? They're good. That plays a major role in luteinizing hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone. Boron's another one. Boron I just kind of started playing with a while back. I like it. I've felt pretty good on it. I mean, it's not like something I take and it's like an energy drink, but like I felt like I have good results with it. Then you've got other things, ginseng, fenugreek, all kinds of stuff. But other than the heart and soil, the ones that I really like right now are actually going to be the Tomcat Alley. I like that stuff. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's kind of one of those in that family of the fenugreek stuff. I like I can't pronounce it. The Shilajit tablets. Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not familiar.
They're like I think that's how you pronounce it. They're like Himalayan salt-based tablets, but they've been shown. Research has shown they do a lot. I really do notice a difference with that. I really do like that a lot, and I can speak from experience. Like, naturally, even though I'm kind of a meathead at heart, like my testosterone levels are not super high. At one point, they were actually fairly low. That was quite a few years ago. They're since much better. And so, I've played around with quite a few of these. Zinc, I don't know zinc's primary role when it comes to that, but I know zinc is one that I add a lot. And then, the stuff that you were talking about too, I like that. So the pros and cons, guys, I think it's just you have to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. I mean, if your estrogen levels are off the chart, good luck. And if you're young and you're trying to take stuff to take it like that, don't.
Right.
Like, I'm not a doctor, but don't do that. Chris, I think you'd probably agree with that. You don't need to. Your testosterone levels should be off the charts. And I'm interrupt me because I'll just keep going. So I can talk about this type of stuff all day.
About the only thing in there that certainly this would fall into the more like the beef organ type thing, but just people who eat a lot of beef, red meat beef. I've got a couple of people who actually did do that experiment and check their testosterone levels after like a month or 6 weeks or whatever. Both that work in the medical field and had easy access, and they both intentionally ate a lot more red meat. And sure enough, I mean, they both, and these are guys in their 30s to like early 40s, and both had pretty nice little increases in testosterone after making an intentional effort of eating red meat.
And that's the thing. Like, if you're going to be eating the right things, a lot of times, if your body's if it's working for you and not against you, you're going to be in pretty decent shape. Not necessarily physically, but in a good shape to be able to have reasonable levels. I would think.
So as far as like some of the other things, I would be willing to bet that when you eat that red meat, or you take, for example, the organ supplements that we're referring to, which is just dried beef liver, beef heart, beef whatever. What they do is they feed a lot of actual nutritional deficiencies, or fulfill a lot of instead of they improve those nutritional deficiencies in a lot of cases, and as a result, your body just produces probably more natural levels of testosterone as opposed to deficient levels. So that's my guess. Not an expert, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, and I double checked. I had to pull up my Amazon account. Yeah, the Shilajit, I don't know how to pronounce it. Shilajit dry drops. I got that from Grant Fowler. I like it a lot, but again, I have kind of a high stress job. I'm always going. My brain's always going, and so my stress levels impact my hormones, and that's again something else you need to take into consideration. So pros and cons of it. Okay, can certain supplements like this help? Yeah, probably. Are you gonna get the same impact as therapeutic doses from a doctor?
Right.
No, but if you can adjust other lifestyle factors that may be influencing it could help you. But I'd be very, very cautious if you're in your 30s or something looking at these test boosting supplements, because a lot of them are coming. A lot of them have proprietary blends and stuff in them, so you don't even know what the hell half of it is. You don't know dosages, things like that, because some of it's not regulated. And I would just be very careful. I'd look at some of the other factors first. And if you're a younger athlete, you don't need this stuff. If you're having trouble at that age, get to a doctor, figure out what the heck's going on. But you got other lifestyle factors you should address first, like quality sleep, getting off the blue light, stop drinking out of plastic water bottles, stop eating crap. You can't put that garbage in your body and expect it to work well. So that kind of be my advice there. we got another question about SARMs, and that was kind of tied in with this one. I'm not going to address that today. We'll talk about that another day. That's a whole episode in and of itself. But for you JUCO bandits and stuff, man, if you guys do things the right way, you're going to have a lot more longevity. I'll put it to you that way. We'll talk about that in another episode. So that's question 1. Question 2. Question 2 comes from us, and it says, "Hey guys, tell me the story about milk." You got milk,
well,
bro?
Here's my thought on milk, and this is again, I'm actually old enough to remember the milkman. Okay, I'm old enough to remember. Yes.
Oh wow, bro.
So all right, so
okay.
Milk used to be left on the front porch step, and it was true unhomogenized, whatever, blah blah blah. The cream would rise to the top. It would actually be kind of foamy at the top of the milk jug. And, you had to shake it up before you drank it and all this other stuff. And in all honesty, I believe there was something different about that milk back then. Raw,
Yes,
and
raw.
And then now, where everything is homogenized, pasteurized, blah. I don't remember what all the things are called. But they do so many things to milk that probably denature the proteins. They're not even exactly what they were when it was coming right out of the cow. And as a result, I'm not sure you're getting the same thing. That said, is milk the superfood that it probably was 50 plus years ago? Probably not.
Absolutely not.
Is it?
Absolutely
is
not.
it horrible? Well, if you're lactose intolerant and you drink it, it's probably pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I'll go on the limb right now and say it is.
Bad.
And I know, and we need to. Mandy wasn't able to get on this one today, but this is kind of her area of expertise too. And so we'll have to revisit this question again. Maybe she can put out an Instagram video or something to follow up on that after this episode comes out. But yeah, you're hitting on all the right things. There's an article on our blog, on the ELP blog I wrote a couple years ago about it, because people ask me about the milk side. Because here, the TSSAA, which is like the high school athletic governing body, they have a deal, a sponsorship with Turner Dairy or somebody, and they push milk constantly. It's everywhere. They push the chocolate milk as a recovery drink. Absolutely drives me insane. There is no world where it's acceptable for chocolate milk to be a recovery drink. It does not work that way. So to dive into that, for one, you say it's got good carbs and sugar and all that stuff. No, not really. It's loaded with a bunch of crap, but then the ratios are completely out of whack. And I don't even remember what they are. I think it's in my blog, in that blog post I wrote a few years ago. But you're not getting the benefit of it because the carbs and protein ratio is so messed up. That's part of it. It's loaded with a ton of additional sugar, and milk actually creates an inflammatory response, especially the milk that you're referring to, Chris, like an inflammatory response.
You're referring
no, that's not good.
You mean the pasteurized, homogenized, blah 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 blah, right?
Yes, yeah, commercial milk, right. Right, commercial milk. Yes, it causes a ton of inflammation. So you just got done running or working out or playing a football game. Do you really want to create more inflammation? Is that really, your goal? I think the other things is going to be, remember, whatever that cow is consuming, that's going to be a part of that as well. And so you're going to be consuming that as well. So when you got cows that are, sucking down GMO feed constantly, genetically modified organisms, stuff that's not even real, they're getting pumped full of anabolic steroids. There you go. There's your testosterone booster stuff right there. You're going to be consuming that as well. And so you need to take that into consideration. And Mandy's got a number somewhere. But the numbers actually said at some point during a research study that actually people that actually drank milk, they actually had a higher risk of osteoporosis than people who didn't drink milk, which I think is ironic because they promote prevention of osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. There's a lot of other factors there too. You bring up the lactose intolerant one, and that's an interesting one because I've kind of admittedly been on the side of like, well, we're all technically lactose intolerant to a degree because we really should, that enzyme should kind of dissolve away once we're done breastfeeding. But I'll admit, like, I don't know the science behind that. I will say that's again Mandy's expertise, but I've since changed my mind on it a little bit in the terms of like getting raw goat's milk or raw cow's milk. That is inherently it can be very good for you. And so that's where kind of that, do you lose that enzyme thing or not? You know, I don't really know. We need to bring Mandy on to dig into that, or unless you have some insight to it as well.
There was a gentleman, Tucker Goodrich, who's on a lot of frequent, nutrition-based podcasts. Anyhow, he was mentioning I believe it was Tucker. He was referring to something that there was something about goat's milk for an older meaning post. We've been weaned from breastfeeding, for many years. So that's, so we're looking at people age, 2 and up. There's something about a milk from a goat that is a little bit less toxic to a human than the cow. Now, I do not remember what that is, and so if you happen to be have a dairy farm and you have cows, look, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just referring back to a podcast I heard, and I don't remember specifically what it was, but it had something to do with one of the proteins in the milk from a cow versus that from a goat. There's number of other factors as well, but anyway, I found that was quite interesting. So anyway, so as far as that's concerned, it's just my understanding that goat's milk, probably has, if in doubt, go with a little bit more goat's milk. That's just, again, last thing I have heard on it. And again, from an expert that has a lot more expertise than I do, they say goat's milk. So, all right. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I had my microphone on mute. Yeah, turn your mic on. Yeah, I was trying to ask Mandy that. I was having trouble hearing her because she's over here, but we'll follow up with an Instagram video on that. She can dig into that. She knows the answer. But yeah, I think there's some benefit to raw, but not commercial.
Sure.
Simple as that. If you want to gain weight and you want to get some risk, some inflammation, stop drinking milk. I remember that I had a guy years and years ago. He would drink like a gallon of chocolate milk like every 2 days or something and couldn't gain weight. Had him stop drinking, and all of a sudden he put on like 8 pounds in like a week and a half or something.
Yeah.
So, so there's milk. All right, our third and final question. Is why is GOATA the best? That's what they asked. So I'm not really sure what your direction of that was, like the best regarding what. So maybe we'll be a little more specific there. But how can I answer that? Okay, here's what I think about it, and I think it's probably a little more geared towards me. But Chris, jump in if you have an opinion on it. What makes GOATA so unique is the ability to evaluate the individual and break it down to their component parts and be able to utilize that within a system, an efficient system that you have. So when you see the same patterns with people over and over and over, GOATA allows us the ability to identify those and know how to properly progress somebody through them. And then once you start to see, they call it the recode. I call it recode as well. As you begin to recode that individual and the nervous system begins to adapt to almost this exaggerated training effect, so to speak, then you get back to kind of this neutral playing field. So you're able to go back to kind of what you used to do, but with a different foundation, okay? That's what I like so much about GOATA, is it really builds, for me at least, and this may be different for other GOATA coaches out there, but for me, it has really given me a good solid foundation to answer some questions on things that I never really had the ability to answer before. I didn't have the knowledge of it there. And so, I think you guys, you see a lot of the cool training stuff out there. You see, a lot of, landmines and all that stuff. And you see more bad videos than you do see good videos out there. I will tell you that most people out there, unless they're a GOATA certified coach, their chances are probably not doing it right. Okay. And so follow a GOATA certified coach, will you? So you can get the right information. But that's why I like GOATA so much, is I've been able to take it. I've been able to see major changes with people in a month-ish. It takes some time because you're not just going to completely change something that somebody's been doing for 17 years of their life and expect it to be changed in 3 weeks. Like, No, but I mean, it's not going to happen. But when you have people come in, or even kids, I mean, these days, the amount of like facet injuries that have been sent to us over the years, like it's sad, honestly. You see a lot of these patterns in these people, in these kids, and when you can help them see kind of where their body is misfiring and be able to build it up from there, then it really helps just give you a solid foundation upon which you can improve on whatever it is your training philosophy may be. So if you're total French contrast, cool. If you're all ISOs, cool. If you're whatever, I don't know what else. Shoot, I don't even know what else is out there.
All landmine training.
Like, yeah, all landmine training. Like, okay, if that's what you're convicted about, that's what you like, cool. Keep going with that. But hey, you need to have a system. You got to have a system. There's too many coaches out there that don't have a system, that just randomly do things, and they throw random stuff up on the board, like 20 sets of squats today, just arbitrarily without any progression, right? You see stuff like that. But have a system. But a GOATA allows you the foundation from a separate standpoint to correct and recode some things, but then you can also apply it to your system. Now, Gary and Ricky may say otherwise, but that's how I personally have been using it and what I like and the results that I've been seeing, and it's been very good. So I guess that answers why GOATA is best. Maybe next time let's be a little more specific with our questions, so we can answer them a little more efficiently. But if you want to ask me again, ask it again, and I'll break it down further. Chris,
not specifically. I mean, other than just a little bit. Of course, I'm by no means an expert in the GOATA system, but it sounds to me like it had a whole lot of similarities to what we learned from George Benet and how he used. Speaking of landmine, the guy literally invented one of the versions of the landmine that is frequently used. Anyway. So they seem to share a lot of the similar ideas. So that's the best thing I can say there.
Yeah, and that's another good point. I think I'll say this and we'll wrap it up. Is I think a lot of people look at GOATA and we communicate it in a certain way for a reason. Like there are some key elements to it, but it's not always bow, corner, inside ankle bone, high. Like it is, but it's not. Like you have to understand the body works collectively. It works as a whole. Nothing works independently of anything else. Everything works the same, right? That's why bodybuilding training is very inefficient for athletes, by the way. Okay? That's why. And like individualizing things like that is kind of inefficient because everything works together. So your shoulder problem may be coming from somewhere else, right? And so just by training the shoulder, you're not necessarily always going to get to the root cause of that. GOATA's system helps you identify that a little bit to a degree in respect of what you're saying about George Benet, in the sense that everything is this like wind and unwind, this like load the spring, unload the spring. And ultimately the human movement is this coil and release type of effect. And that's just kind of another little thing I wanted to add on top about that, is try not to get too focused on the little things, that you may see on social media, although they are unbelievably important. It's not the entire thing, right? So that's why GOATA is the best. So I hope that answers the question. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. We appreciate the questions. We'll do the Instagram thing a little bit more. We'll keep putting that out there. We got some good response from it. So we'll put that out there a little bit more often, and we'll continue to take your questions. And as always, like we said earlier, you can send us the questions to any of our social media stuff. But the final thing I want to say is, guys, I'm going to keep saying every episode, and I'm not going to say we're going to stop doing this, but we're going to stop doing it if you guys don't share this stuff, man. Like Chris and I see the numbers. We know the amount of people that are listening to our show. We know the people that watch on YouTube. Not a whole lot of people watch on YouTube, but it is there. But the audio numbers we're growing. This is a good podcast. We are growing. And I see how many people share it, and I see the numbers. So, guys, you might be sharing it, but also get out on social media. Please share the show. Show us some love, will you? We do this for you guys and the parents and the coaches. And if you guys want to see things improve in your area, you have to help that. Don't come whining and complaining when things don't change if you're not going to share the show and back up the people that are here trying to help you and give you guys good information.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that, Chris?
Absolutely. Amen, brother.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to y'all later.